Okay, welcome back to now part 6. I am hoping this is our final pour. I'm just finishing up my last minute of mixing, and once again we're looking pretty good. We can see that it's all a consistent color, nice and crystal clear, and not many bubbles. I do have to scrape this container one last time and give it another minute. Once again, the reason why I will scrape all of the sides is to make sure that I don't have any hardener or resin stuck to the sides or bottom. And once that is all done, I'll clean off my pastry knife the best that I can. There'll still be some residual left on it, but I'm not really worried about that. And once again, the reason why we're using this knife is because I can scrape the sides to make sure I have a good mixture. Okay, this time will be our last pour, like I said, hopefully, and this will be 24 ounces. Some people do different things, like telling you never to scrape out all of the epoxy after you're blended, due to the possibility of some being unblended. But once again, that's not a concern of mine because I use that pastry knife. As I'm going through and looking at the volume, it's looking like this will be my last pour, so we won't have another part of just an epoxy pour. Our next step after this will be moving on to demolding, and once we demold it, we will be putting it through the table saw and trimming these edges, like I said in the very beginning. I did not want to leave those there. I could, but they have some bubbles, and I don't want any bubbles if I look at the side profile. This is something I've never done before. Like when we started, I had never done this with tabletop epoxy. Usually you always use casting resin. But once again, we have everything covered. It looks nice and smooth. Now it is time for the heat gun. Turn to the side so none of the dust gets on the epoxy. And we will start to pour some bubbles. Always kind of amazing how clear you can get it. This takes time. And like I said, usually I don't use as much heat, but with it being almost 80 degrees and using tabletop is doing two things for me. I do have a wood shop, so there is a high risk of dust. Of course, I have vacuumed and blown out my shop many times before we did this project, my bad. But I do have children, and they love to come in and out of the garage and create dust everywhere and drive Dad insane. So with me heating this epoxy, it is kind of forcing this epoxy to dry faster and reducing the amount of exposure time to dust. Micro bubbles still in the epoxy way down. Trying to get most of those to raise. I can still see some in the coat beneath this. So I know we won't be as clear as if we use casting resin. So once again, let's see what happens. It should still look beautiful. And the next time we do this, it will be done with casting resin. As you can see, everything is looking very smooth. And that would be about it. If you have any questions, of course, post. Would love to hear your comments. And if you like what you see, please subscribe and hit that like button. And if you think of anyone who could benefit from these videos, please feel free to share them. Thank you. We'll see you when it's time to demold.